What's that?
Do you think we can go to jail?
I don't know. We're trying to figure it all out. As long as you guys cooperate with us and you guys tell us what happened, we'll go accordingly, okay? But if you guys are not telling us, if you guys are, then I don't think...
I really cannot go to jail.
Okay.
I cannot have that on my image.
Okay.
But you got shot?
I didn't get shot.
Oh, you did it?
No, man. I mean, no, sir.
What's good? What's good? What's goody, everybody? You know the vibes. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification button for more content. So today we got a good, serious, excellent video that we'll be looking over. Not only that, we looking over a bunch of other videos to also go and dive deep into what is going on with the Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez situation. So again, I will be talking in this video, going in between into the videos. If you don't like it, please exit the channel. This is not for you. I will leave a link on the bottom for y'all to basically see all of the evidences that was presented by Tory Lanez camp. All right, so thank you very much. Let's go. All right, so by the way, everybody, I will say this: it's easy to find the site. The website is basically 36hourslater.com. So you type that in, it will show you all of the things that Tory Lanez camp, which is a defense, and what they presented basically for people to see, showing that these were like some of the evidences that were suppressed during the time of the trial, which they wouldn't allow the courtroom to basically foresee to help him on his case. So let's go. Let's go to the first video right here that we do see. So all of these videos is from the defense. So let's go on, click on this one and see what they say.
What's that?
Do you think we can go to jail?
I don't know. We're trying to figure it all out. As long as you guys cooperate with us and you guys tell us what happened, we'll go accordingly, okay? But if you guys are not telling us, if you guys are, then I don't think...
I really cannot go to jail.
Okay.
I cannot have that on my image.
Okay. So how did that happen to you?
Glass.
Glass? Where?
Where we were coming from.
Hey, can we like shoot for
I'm not from here, so I...
Okay.
That's the only place you got shot at? That's the only place you got shot?
I didn't get shot.
Oh, you did it?
No, man. I mean, no, sir.
Yeah.
So that's video one where she's basically asking the question of, which I don't get it, man. People, anybody I know that got in a situation where they was getting caught, when you ask the cops the question of, oh, like, are you getting locked up? It's usually because you know that you've done something that you wasn't supposed to do, and you know that it might backfire. So usually in those cases when people ask those kind of questions, that's what comes in mind. Even if you're a cop, that's what's going to come in mind. If somebody just asks a question like that, it's kind of like making them say that, okay, I know I'm guilty of something. Maybe the cops already know, which is kind of strange, which I'm not trying to like accuse her of doing anything, but that's what will come to mind if somebody hears something like that. And then in this situation, the person that shot, why are you so concerned about you getting locked up in your image? You are hurt. The first thing you should be requesting would most likely be basically you telling them that, okay, I'm bleeding. I want y'all to basically get the ambulance so that I could go to the hospital or basically be treated or whatsoever. But she wasn't even concerned about that. And then even when the cops even asked her, were you shot? She said, I wasn't shot, which you could clearly hear her say that again. She said that. I wasn't shot. So let's go to the next one and see what's going on.
Shooting or anything?
They're searching the car right now.
Well, we have the gun here, and then we have other units. They're searching the house where it happened. So that's all we have so far.
So nothing happened in the vehicle.
No, we don't have any casings. No.
Okay, from what you've been told. Okay.
And then there's some cash over, looks like.
Was the person who got caught with the other people here that you have in handcuffs? Were they all together?
They were all together.
Yes, they were all in the same car.
Okay. And then, do we know how she got cut?
I believe when she stepped down, there's a glass.
She dropped a glass bottle, and then I think she stepped on it and cut herself.
Okay.
Getting out of the vehicle.
Okay. So her friends didn't cut her then.
Right.
Well. Yeah.
She look on the ground right there. I guess that's her print from the blood. And there was a bottle that was just right there. See that? The moment she stepped out, she dropped the bottle. I don't know if y'all seen that right there. And she stepped, ooh. Let me back up. Limp. Limp. Limp.
Hey, stop. Move to the left. Keep moving.
It's right down the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go from the beginning. So you look right here. You see a bottle right here. You see her foot mark right here. All right. Now I want to go back to the beginning where you actually see the bottle drop it. Watch. Let's play it.
It's right down the floor.
Yeah.
Rear passenger, step out of the vehicle.
If anything, I'm going to zoom it in for y'all to see. She opens the door. Boom. Bottle drop. And that looked like a Casamigo bottle. Which is fire too. That's a good bottle. I ain't gonna lie. That drink is fire. And then first step, look, walking regularly. Step on the bottle. Then start limping now. Boom. 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 It's today? Yeah, he did.
It's right down the floor.
Yeah. So in that video right there, it ain't like, it's pretty much obvious that the bottle dropped. She stepped out, stepped on the bottle. And if you can see right there, when she first stepped out, her feet was on the roadway for sure. Like, so ain't no way that there's no blood there. And then there's just blood on the curb where the bottle basically is at this point, right? Because the bottle dropped. Most likely if a bottle drop, it's going to shatter, right? So it's going to shatter all over the place. You step on it, you step on the curb, and then now we see the blood on the curb. So the blood is on the curb. The blood is not on the street. And from what we see right there in that video, when she first stepped out, her feet was on the street. That's where how it was from what I've seen so far in the video. And the cop already insinuated that she believed that she stepped on the bottle before anything happened at that point, right? And then we heard her basically saying that she wasn't shot. So those are the things that we heard so far. Now let's see what happens with the next videos.
She cut herself when she stepped out.
So as you can see right there, the cop did say that she cut herself while stepping out. And then we're going to look at it from another angle where she's backing up. And you can see two people on the floor, laying down on the floor, which is the next one I'm going to show y'all right now.
Move back to the sound of my voice.
Move back.
Oh, she cut herself.
So from everything I've seen, this is where it gets a bit interesting, right? Where now it does show the other video where now Megan Thee Stallion starts saying in her own words that the police bitch was being so rude. So check this one out real quick.
I get to the motherfucking hospital, the police bitch being so rude to me. Well, what's going on? Like, da-da-da-da, you're being detained, da-da-da. Ma'am, I'm being detained, I'm leaking. But I'm still not saying what happened.
And that one, you see her saying that basically the police was basically telling her that she's being detained, which we didn't see any footage of the cops actually saying that she was being detained. She was actually the one that was asking a question to the cops if she was going to be detained. And then on top of that, she was saying that this is not good for her image. It looks bad on her image. So she was more concerned about her image instead of the injuries that she sustained throughout the whole incident. From what I know right now, what she said versus what was shown is two completely different stories, where you could hear her talking to the cops over here, where she actually mentions that she stepped on glass prior to that and she already had her right foot injured. And she's going to say it in this video right now, which is strange.
And so what happened with you were just
I'm bone stepping on the left. I had another cut on my right foot. I just
stepped on glass the other day.
So I just stepped on glass the other day.
You were already hurt, so we got into an argument. And then at that point, your friends were running you down and running to the hospital.
So when you hear something like that, where someone is saying that they just stepped on glass the other day, what does that sound like? If you was to put two and two together to look at it from this aspect, right? Because all we're looking at in this video is showing that there is reasonable doubt in this whole situation, because every story that has been mentioned in this has just been changing over and over again. A lot of stories don't make sense, especially from her end. It don't make sense. And Tory Lanez had a gag order on him, so for him it was a bit harder for him to even speak out. He couldn't speak. You feel me? And from what I remember, I believe he did a live before where he was explaining the things that led towards it, but he couldn't speak specifically on the case and what was going on, or the exact scenario. But he would speak on what led to it, where he was at fault for what he did, right? And in this situation, you hear her saying that she stepped on something. So it's obvious that it could be a possibility that she stepped on glass afterwards again, which is shown in the video of her stepping on glass. It could be a possibility that she reopened those same wounds, and because of that, she started leaking again. You feel me? And if you look at the curb of the video, like I said again, in that curb, the blood was on the curb. The blood was not on the street where she first stepped at, which was kind of strange. But let's keep going to the next video.
So, since y'all hoes so worried about it, yes, this nigga Tory shot me. You shot me. And you got your publicists and your people going to these blogs lying and shit. Stop lying. Why lie? I don't understand. I tried to keep the situation off the internet.
In this situation, it's easy to say that you try keeping it off the internet, but yet again, every time that people heard about the whole scenario, it was mainly her speaking about the incident throughout. You feel me? Because all of these situations didn't get intense until she started getting on live and actually speaking about the whole situation. So now we're going to go through the timelines, which what the defense team actually provided, which was the timeline that contradicts Megan's claims. All right, so let me scroll over here. Let me just go back to the big screen, and I'm going to have these details in that same order. So I want y'all to actually look at every detail that is here, and I'm going to read it out loud for y'all so it could be more easier. But let me just get back to the big screen so that y'all can see what's going on really for real. And I'm going to add all of those back in there. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go to the questions and answers. So these are the statements that Megan actually mentioned, and then we're going to also go into the question that she received throughout that whole process. So the first statement that Megan said was nothing negative as this. That's why I didn't want to say anything in the first place. This would have never came out if Tory would have never went to the internet telling everybody his side of the story, which we knew at the time that Tory didn't actually mention anything about the case at all. I guess his lawyer most likely advised him not to say nothing, to keep quiet. And I believe this is either prior to the gag order or prior to an investigation really being had throughout the whole time. And then when we scroll back down now to the timeline, and then you actually read a lot of the things that was mentioned and stated, this is where now it gets a bit fishy and tricky now. So it gets a bit crazy over here. So let's see what happens here. We are back down. Now we're going to zoom into this message right here. All right. This is approximately on August. I don't know. Is it August? Actually, July 15th of 2020. Now let's scroll up. It says Megan posted about being shot. And this is what Megan posted. She said, the narrative that is being reported about Sunday morning events are inaccurate, and I'd like to set the record straight. On Sunday morning, I suffered gunshot wounds as a result of a crime that was committed against me and done with intentions to physically harm me. I was never arrested. The police officers drove to the hospital where I underwent surgery to remove the bullets. And then she follows that by saying, I'm incredibly grateful to be alive and that I am expected to make a full recovery, but it was important for me to clarify the details about this traumatic night. I'm currently focused on my recovery so I can return back to my life and back to making music as soon as possible. So this happened on July 15th of 2020. And then when we go back now, the next following day, which was July 16th of 2020, Megan name drops Daystar to the police. Well, she went to the police and told them that it was Tory Lanez, Daystar Peterson, who was the one who shot her. And then afterwards, on let's see here, on Tory Lanez's birthday, which was on July 27th, Megan Thee Stallion went live on his birthday. So on all of these timelines basically just shows that he wasn't the one actually speaking. It was just mainly her making statements a lot of the times. And then eventually she goes on live and then she actually name drops him on August 20th of 2020, which is shown right here. And then after that, on September 24th was when Tory actually made the first tweet. All right? And that's what's shown right here, where Tory Lanez says, "To my fans, I'm sorry for my silence, but respectfully, I got time today, 9 p.m. This is when he was saying that he was going to go on live. And then I believe what's shown right here is Daystar spoke on IG Live in response to Megan. And this was on October 20th of 2020. So all of these timelines actually show that he wasn't the one actually talking. It was actually her that was speaking mainly a lot of the time to the media. And people just ran with it, with whatever she said. So she said, well, Tory Lanez was saying this about this. Everybody just automatically believes it because she's a victim in the situation. You get what I'm saying? So in all honesty, everybody's just going to believe it just because she's the victim and she's making accusations and everybody's just going to believe in that. And then when you're running with the narrative of Black women are unprotected, that is going to fuel more people who actually went through traumatic experiences to start believing in anything. So this next video is going to be where you're going to hear her actually saying certain things over here, where she was being questioned by Gayle King in the interview.
I never put my hands on anybody. I never raised my voice too loud. Like, this was one of them times where it was like, it shouldn't have got this crazy.
It shouldn't have escalated to
right.
the way that it did.
So I get out the car and it's like everything happens so fast. Yes. And all I hear is this man screaming. He said, dance. And he started shooting. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, he shot a couple of times. Mm-hmm.
Not long ago, Nike people was approached by a gentleman named Bradley James. Mr. James informed us he was working as the bodyguard and driver for Ms. Kelsey Harris during Mr. Peterson's trial. As such, he was in close proximity. He had privy conversations she was having with her husband and others. Mr. Peterson, I'm sorry, Mr. James informed us he was not under a non-conflict disclosure agreement or confidentiality agreement and was free to speak with Nike people, and that he was doing it because his conscience would not let him not see the legal man because this is something he did not do. Mr. James informed Nike people that he witnessed the conversation Ms. Harris had, where she stated she had a gun, she fired 3 times, Mr. Peterson grabbed her arm and knocked it down, and the gun fired 2 more times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody, never touched that gun, never fired at him. This statement aligns the statement of the only non-party witness in the case, Mr. Sean Kelly, who at trial testified he saw 2 women fighting, 2 men break up a fight, 1 man grabbed the other's arm, gunshot came from the passenger side. Passenger side of Mrs. Harris specifically. This further illustrates that Mr. Peterson did not shoot Ms. T, did not shoot at Ms. T, or did not assault Ms. T.
So this where here she's saying that she never put her hands on anybody, which we don't know about that because the witness did mention that he actually saw an altercation going on between both girls. So now let's go on, right? She said she never put her hands on anybody. The marks prove otherwise, right? because Kelsey never mentioned that Tory Lanez and her got into a fight. You feel me? So let's see what happens here. It says Megan and Kelsey had a physical altercation. And when you look down here, you're gonna start seeing more of the damages that happened as a result of that fight. So over here, you'll see actually this is Kelsey's legs that's here on this side. I'm gonna try to cover this out for YouTube's sake. You feel me? You can't be showing cheeks on a live. Should be getting crazy. You feel me? But let's go down here, right? So this is Kelsey's legs right here, and then you can see that Kelsey was also bleeding. So I guess from the fight that her and Megan had, she was bleeding, and then also from right here on this angle, you can see that Kelsey has a knot on her head. That's shown right here. And then you see Tory Lanez right here, no blood. No bruises, no nothing. You can tell he wasn't in no fight. And then, not only that, let's read what it says over here. Eyewitnesses and physical evidence indicate a physical fight between Megan Pete and Kelsey Harris. And then the following also says Kelsey had open wounds and cuts on her legs and were actively bleeding. No injuries were reported on Tory Lanez. The fight was between the women. And then when you go down here, Megan actually released a song where it seems that she was dissing Kelsey on it, which the song is titled Shots Fired. And the lyrics goes as followed. Who's a snitch? I ain't never went to the police with no names. I thought a bitch that got her chain snatched, court of laws, has something to say. Hey. Shit crazy, but let's keep it going, man. Let's keep scrolling down. And then here we go to the next video that's right here that's presented. Let's go.
The people in the neighborhood, there's a witness. When the police came, because the neighbors called the police.
So in that video, you see that she did mention that there was a witness that was there. So I guess the witness that she was mentioning is Sean Kelly. Which Sean Kelly was one of the lead witnesses that seen the whole thing. And police actually got an interview with him that same day when the whole situation happened, to which I will also be playing the audio that is also shown on this site. So for now, we're just going to scroll down and read everything going on. And let's see right here. This is Sean Kelly's testimony. Eyewitness Sean Kelly told police and later testified under oath that he saw two women fighting in the street. And these are what is shown right here on these documents. So I'm going to actually tag all of these because I don't want to be reading everything going back and forth on that. This is mad work just reading this shit over and over and over again. But let's play this thing right here.
But no, it didn't. No?
They shot out of the car?
The windows were open, that's why it sounded like either way. Yeah, I didn't know. They were on my side. The girl opened the door, there was two girls fighting, and then they shot. And she got out of the car and crawled over.
So from this statement right here, from what the video is actually showing, he stated that there were two girls fighting and then they shot. So that's what he mentioned right here. If y'all want to read his transcript, I'm going to put the link in the bottom so y'all could go ahead and read his transcript. So let's keep it going. And then this is Sean Kelly's testimony. That's all right here. That's shown in writing. But instead of going through this whole thing of reading this whole process, the link is going to be below for each and every one of y'all to actually go look this thing up. But we're going to scroll down and we're going to actually hear the audio of Sean Kelly and his statements. So this is the statement from Sean Kelly that's going to be played right now.
The doors of the Escalade open and the girl come out and pull open the passenger door and started screaming and yelling at somebody in the car.
So the girl who came out of the passenger, you're talking about the front passenger?
No, the rear.
The rear passenger. So the girl comes out of the rear passenger and she goes to the front passenger?
Yes.
And she opens up the car door?
Yes.
And then what happens?
They're screaming and shouting at each other and they start fighting.
The two girls?
Yeah, I can see one like feet coming out trying to kick her and the other one's fighting and then the passenger gets out.
So the girl who does the punching and the kicking is the girl that comes out of the back passenger?
The front, can we stop there? Because I don't want to. I want to. I'll tell you, and then I want to go. My son's on his own.
Yeah, I understand.
I don't want
And it's loud with the cars.
And I don't really want to. So basically, the car stopped. The girl in the back got out, started screaming and shouting, ripped the door, pulled the door open, but pulled it so sort of viciously. That's why I presume the driver got out. She starts screaming. She starts hitting the girl. The girl then had to start. Her feet come out. She starts to kick the girl away. Got a passenger. They get out, they start fighting here, they start fighting. The driver comes round and tries to sort of break it up. It gets a bit more violent. And between them, the girl then climbs back into the front driver passenger seat.
Where's the shorter black guy?
He's in the back.
He's in the back of the car? Okay.
So you can, hold on, this is the crazy part right here. Just the crazy part right here. You can hear the cop actually asking him what happened, and the guy explains that one of the girls came out of the back of the car, went to the front, yanked the door open, and then she started fighting with the other girl that was there, which I don't know who that is at that point. It's one of them. They're fighting with each other, and then eventually now they're outside fighting, and the driver actually comes out, which is what's stated right here. And then he asked him where was the shorter guy, which is Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez is still in the back of the car. So that's what was mentioned in that part right there. So that obviously shows that both of those girls were fighting. She didn't want to answer those questions honestly and say that her and the girl was fighting in the courtroom. But in the audio, you can actually hear the guy actually mentioning these things right here that was happening right here. So now let's listen to the second audio that's also going to be giving more tea.
Then the gun. Then the girl shoots it. So the driver's door's open.
You're seeing the girl shoot?
Can I help you? I think, is it this house?
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
So you see the girl doing the shooting?
I see what appears to be the girl standing here and shooting into the car. That's what it looked like to me. But it was dark, and I'm above, so. But then the guy gets out again from the back.
So all this is showing that it proves the same statement that Kelsey's driver / bodyguard is mentioning now. It's not really changing the story. But the sad part is that Tory Lanez had a gag order, so he couldn't even speak out about the whole case. If he spoke about it, then he would have been facing some charges for it. Or most likely he probably would have been in jail. So for him, he can't speak. Imagine they put a gag order on you and you can't speak to defend yourself. Then at this point now, the only people that can speak is your attorneys, and they weren't there. They can only state what you stated to them to a degree. You feel me? So this is the sad case that we have to deal with, where when people get accused of something, they can't speak. You speak, you're guilty, regardless of anything. And then in this situation, if he speaks, he's still going to be facing some more criminal charges for speaking. So it's like, he's accused of something, but then again, he can't defend himself. He can't speak out to the public, just like how she's going on live and talking and making all these assumptions and saying that, yo, he did this, and saying that she's unprotected as a black woman. And she used that line of black women are unprotected, which is just going to fuel more people to start speaking out, because they have certain traumas that they experienced and they feel like they can relate to it. So they're going to just act out of emotion and rage more than just thinking logically and just like waiting out for all of the evidence to be laid out front before they really start judging and stuff. Because I ain't gonna lie, a lot of people were already judging Tory Lanez way before he got locked up. Mad people was judging him. It was just bad for him at this point, right? So let's go on to further details and see what is going on now.
I'll never forget the day when we're sitting outside of the courtroom getting ready for court to reconvene. And imagine the only independent witness, which should have been the only objective witness in this case, was a gentleman by the name of Sean Kelly. Interestingly enough, the only person that would be able to have an unbiased viewpoint of what actually happened. Imagine that the prosecution did not want to call that witness. Why? This is the only independent witness, but yet you don't want to call this person because obviously his bird's eye view will not support what you want the narrative to be. And so when we sat outside, my wife and I, we saw this gentleman come in and we sat down and it was identified for us that, oh, this is Mr. Sean Kelly. He's sitting across from us on the other side of the hallway. And as we sat there, the prosecution came out, one of their detectives or investigators rather, and one of the prosecutors, they took this gentleman, they went upstairs, I believe it was to the 14th floor at that time. By the time this man came down, the witness they did not want to call, this man came down and his testimony became so embellished with other nonsense that people who saw it just looked at it and said, this is crazy. So I saw these kind of things going on all throughout this case. People trying to bury evidence, not trying, burying evidence. A judge that refused to allow certain things to come into the courtroom or to be said and was totally biased on the part of the prosecution. So the whole thing just stunk of a setup.
And now from here, when we scroll here, we even see that Megan Thee Stallion's, I believe, her former hairstylist, which is his name is EJ. He mentioned that actually that the gun was seen in one of the girls' bags. He didn't mention whose bag it was, but he did mention that he saw a gun in one of their bags. And those same bags were seen inside the vehicle when the cops were searching the vehicle. So the sad part about this case is that no one is actually speaking about that part. No one's speaking about whose gun it was. Everybody's just assuming that it's Tory Lanez's gun. The guy has no DNA in there, on there. Only he was tested. In this whole situation, you can see that the guy EJ, which is the, I think he's the hairstylist. EJ mentioned that he saw the guns in the bag. He saw a gun in the bag. My apologies, not guns. He saw a gun in the bag. And in this whole scenario, it was stated multiple times that it is 0.001% of DNA evidence that was found on the gun.
How can you have a situation where in pretrial, the police, LAPD, says that the bullet fragments they had collected from the hospital just mysteriously vanishes. It goes missing. I would think that evidence is something that is protected in any police department, but they just mysteriously go missing. So there's no bullet fragments to be presented at trial. You have a situation where a gun is shot, and the gun, which is supposed to be your main piece of evidence, does not even show up at court, but some picture of a weapon that resembles or is the type of weapon they say that was used. The weapon does not show up at court. There is absolutely no, we hear this point of 0.1% of his DNA on the gun. Do you know what that actually means when you investigate it? That over 1.5 billion black people on the planet could have been their DNA. Yet my son is convicted for having used this gun, where an expert witness from the LAPD gets in there and he testifies as an expert of how many pounds of pressure it takes to shoot this gun and to shoot it 1, 2, 3 times and on and on and on. Yet, the only evidence you have could fit the profile of 1.5 billion black people on planet Earth.
Make it make sense. It could be anybody's DNA. It's not his DNA. That doesn't mean his DNA was on the gun. Feel me? There's no gun residue whatsoever that's shown, but people still want to go ahead and say, oh, nah, it was him. It was him. It was him. It was him. Because it's so hard to believe that, yo, another woman could have shot another woman. This is the possibility. This is where reasonable doubt basically comes in. You can't just assume based on your feelings and say that somebody did something. You need to actually have hard evidence to prove that they did it. All of the evidence that's being shown is showing that the stories have been changing, right? It's showing that Sean Kelly basically changed his statement also, right? After speaking with the prosecution, and the stories is not adding up. And consistently, we hear Megan Thee Stallion going on live, We hear Megan Thee Stallion making tweets. We hear Megan Thee Stallion overreacting each and every time. And at this point, she even made a video stating that, well, if it was her that did it, why didn't you just take the stand and say it? How can he take the stand and say it when it was already brought upon him that if he was to take the stand, they would use his lyrics against him, and they would use another case against him. Now, at that same time, I don't know if y'all recall, at that time, Tory Lanez was dealing with a situation with August Alsina, which was an incident that happened, which it involved an altercation that could have been used in court to ruin his image. We see what's going on with Diddy right now. Not saying I support Diddy, but a lot of the situations that they're bringing up with Diddy, they're not really going for the charges that they are putting against him. They're going for a RICO, and they're trying to hit him with saying that he basically is a freaky person. You get what I'm saying? They're saying he into freaky shit. Feel me? Diddy a freaky nigga. So what prosecution usually do a lot of the time is the best way for them to get you is to ruin your image and make you look like the guilty person at all times and make you look like this complete violent person so that the jurors could actually believe them and just try you as guilty. That's what the prosecution job is. That's what they're supposed to do. This is nothing new. Prosecution always do this, right? So that's the problem with the situation. Now let's go on with the further details.
In the car, shooting from the car, Megan?
He is standing up over the window, shooting.
So that video contradicts everything that Sean Kelly was saying, which is the witness. Sean Kelly mentioned that the girls got out of the car and they were fighting. And then eventually one of the girls went in the vehicle, grabbed the gun, came out, started shooting. And when that girl started shooting, that's when that girl basically, she let off 3 shots. And then the short guy came out from the back of the car and knocked it off of her hand. And then the firearm went off 2 more times, right? Which is the same thing that the bodyguard is now stating now, which is going on. They also have audio footages proving that did happen also, right? But these are things that they didn't want to show throughout trial. So this is what makes it even more intense and crazy and a bit scary. Why is it that these things are not being allowed to be shown in trial? Why is it that everything has to be now covered when it's on his, like when it's basically on his end? You get what I'm saying? But when anything that she says, that's just a story, is just believable. There's no evidence to back a lot of the things that she stated. But yet again, the person that actually have the evidence, they're not allowing him to actually present these things. And the fact that these things are now coming out now is making things look more worse and bad. Now, I get it. Maybe Megan Thee Stallion basically figured out, okay, now that she lied, or that she may have lied, well, from everything that we are reading right here is showing that she's framing him at this point. She's saying that, nah, he did this so-and-so just to make him go to jail at this point, which he's in jail now. These things is not a good look because she already went with the narrative of black woman unprotected. I'm a black woman that was shot by a black man. Now, that narrative has been pushed so much and so bad that now it makes people just go for it. And so many people have just believed it. And so many people have started like co-signing the situation so bad that it has created this level of deep hatred for black men to the point that now people can't really go back from it. Because you know how bad it's going to look now when things come out and it's stated that, yo, that this woman lied. And it's shown in 4K. She was in interviews lying. But people are just disregarding these things. When it starts coming out that she lied now, right? It's going to actually make it look bad for black women who actually do go through things like this. And this all because of her statement of using that. And she was hopping on that bandwagon of using that thing to just make black men just look evil and like predators. And it just gets worse.
We left to go home.
Bro, they should have made a whole animated version of her lie, bro. We're doomed. This word is cooked.
I was in the car with Tory and his driver and Kelsey. We are all arguing. I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but I knew I was talking shit, and he probably was a little offended. I tried to get out the car one time. I'm over this shit. They was like, Megan, get back in the car, get back in the car. We almost see a house. I get out the car again. I ain't even got shit on. I just got on a swimsuit. And I'm walking off, and this motherfucker just started hollering at me. He was like, dance, bitch.
Not only does it get worse, it even becomes more funnier. After lying on the Gayle King interview, she then goes ahead and makes this statement.
Why would I lie? You want me to be a bad person so bad, and y'all motherfuckers want to believe the lie before you.
This bitch, I lied to Gayle King, bitch. First I know this bitch was gonna ask me about this. She always talks about the shooting. Why you ask me about fucking Tory? That's not what this is about. Even if I was fucking nigga like once, maybe twice on Trump night, but you kept catching me out of my fucking mind.
Mrs. Peterson never shot anybody. Never even touched that gun. Never fired them. This statement aligns with the statement of the only non-party witness to the case, Mr. Sean Kelly, who at trial testified he saw two women fighting, two men break up a fight, one man grabbed the other one's arm, gunshots came from the passenger side. Passenger side was Mrs. Harris is sitting. Iterates that Mr. Peterson did not shoot Ms. Pete, did not shoot at Ms. Pete, or did not assault Ms. Pete.
Why would you lie? You lied on national television. Where Gayle King asked you if you were sleeping with the guy. You lied to say no. Then when you get on the stand, you end up telling the truth and saying that, yeah, you did. Then eventually you do actually do a documentary. And throughout this time, Tory Lanez wasn't speaking about the case. He was in jail. You end up doing a documentary talking about him, imitating the whole situation that happened to the point that they have a cartoon story of it showing, playing out. Went and lied and said that basically the guy was shooting over the window. Sean Kelly's statement says that that didn't happen, right? Then after all of this, you actually admit in your documentary that you lied to Gayle King. You can't question certain things like that and say that, why would you lie? You lied on national television. At this point now, anybody could just be like, man, yo, you a liar. You lied on national television. You feel me? You can't really try to retract that and be like, oh, nah, man, I never lied before ever in my life. But you lied in front of everybody. You lied in front of millions of people. You can't. At this point right now, how the situation is going, I would say, yo, just tell the truth. What really happened, say it. You get what I'm saying? Just tell the truth and come clean. Because right now, you're going to make it worse for other women who actually experience these things. And now it's just going to create a narrative now whenever a woman actually go through traumatic experiences, go through violence or whatsoever, when they speak out now, people are not going to believe them because you ran with that narrative and put an innocent man in jail. You feel me? And it's only going to get worse. But you know what, man? I'm going to just leave it short. I'm not going to keep it going. I'm going to just leave it right here. I'm going to put the link right in the bottom of the video. So for everybody who do want to tune in and watch everything, because this thing is mad long, man. I'm in my office right now. I got to get right back outside to go do more work. But I will say this, man. It's an evil world we live in. And there's a big level of deep hatred against black men right now. And a lot of black men are not teaming up together to support each other in bad times like this. You get what I'm saying? And that's one thing that women will always have over men. They're very supportive of one another, especially when someone is basically being held accountable. They will team up with each other and say, oh, no, why would you say that to her? Why would you tell her about herself? Guys don't do that. That's the problem. Guys don't stick together. I don't know if it's because guys just want to get some buns or if it's because they're scared of getting attacked or being called sassy, insecure, or being called a misogynist. I don't know what it is, but a lot of guys are actually afraid to speak out in these situations. And all it's doing right now is just enabling behaviors from people who are just lying and falsifying things on people. You get what I'm saying? Just bringing up nonsensical shit that just don't make no sense. At this point, we could just call this the Juicy Smollett effect. You feel me? It's literally the same thing. Where this whole narrative of believe all women thing, it needs to stop. Believe real victims. I think that should be a statement that should be stated. Not just women, but men also. Both men and women. Believe real victims. Do not believe people who are just trying to use their, how do I say it? Use their victim card to basically get sympathy out of people before the facts are shown. Everybody should have stopped judging people until all of the evidence was presented out flat. Now that we're seeing a bunch of these things that the court was suppressing and was not allowing it to be presented in court now is starting to come out now. All of a sudden now, everybody's starting to realize, yo, there's a lot of holes in the story. Feel me? Which leaves a lot of room for reasonable doubt. The dude should not be in jail. It's too much evidence that's proven that he was not the shooter. Fingerprint not on the gun, not on the magazine, right? The bullet fragments that was basically retrieved, allegedly retrieved, is no longer in the possession of the cops. It's lost. Prosecution mentioned that the cops have it, right? The cops basically mentioned that it's lost. And then secondly, the detectives that was in court was there basically on the behalf of the prosecution, stating whatever they stated, only for the bullet fragments not to be presented in court. It don't make no sense. The gun also not brought in court. It just don't make no sense. All of these evidences should have been presented. Where did the gun come from? What is the serial number on the gun? Whose gun is it? Who shot the gun? And it don't make sense that only he was tested for gun residue and not the other people that was there. You feel me? It just don't make no sense. But let's just keep it going, man. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification button. And we're gonna get to it, man. Deuces.